Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for film lovers just like you. Every Monday, I chat about recently watched movies with my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
What Patreon tier can we do to get Proto a traumatic experience?
And our spiritual advisor and movie insider, Alexis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't browse any streaming service. I think that's like psychotic at this point.
Our featured discussion later in this episode is my pick for HAUNTVEMBER, His House, from Remy Weeks, streaming right now on Netflix. Is this a haunted house movie with more than meets the eye? Or are these themes of trauma and grief no fun in a horror movie? Let's find out together.
Let's just get into it.
Oh my God.
Have you guys ever heard of the Criterion closet?
Talk to me.
This is like a sacred place.
Yeah. Cinephile
Really?
Mecca.
And they don't just let anyone, you can't just like walk into the Criterion headquarters in New York City and just go in there. You need to be invited. You know, you need to be somebody. And someone on the show was there this week.
Because he's a somebody.
He's a somebody.
Everyone is a somebody. I'm no bigger or better than anyone. I'm just a regular Joe. Okay? First of all, I can picture Proto practicing this little intro. He's got like his little number 2 pencil and he's licking it before he puts it down in his moleskin.
What was it like? Tell us.
Oh, boy. I went to New York City, the Big Apple, this past, when was it? I don't remember. My God, what day is it? Last week, to see some Letterboxd crew. I saw Gemma in person for the first time. Saw Flynn in person for the first time. And it was one of the festivals. Which one was it? New York Film Festival was happening. So we figured, let's do some things while we're in the city, the Windy City.
Nope.
And Criterion
Nope.
was one of those things. You know, they have these like video series where they have like creators and filmmakers come in. I'm not saying we did that. We did our own thing. But like you can see the Criterion Closet like on YouTube. Proto's boy was just there. Kyle McLaughlin.
Kyle. What an app.
God bless.
He just did his own video there. So we went up there. I didn't really have any expectations. We were going to like film some stuff for TikTok, IG Reels, that sort of thing. These the big hot stuff. And we walked in there and man, their office is gorgeous. They got these beautiful framed posters up everywhere. Just real briefly, we walked to get a drink of water and like, you know, all their gorgeous Criterion posters obviously are framed up on the walls. And then we went into the Criterion closet. And it legit is a closet. It's like a broom closet. It's not that big. It's like a broom closet with shelves and their entire Criterion collection. And for those that don't know, it's, you know, Criterion puts out their own DVDs or Blu-rays or 4Ks of movies they add to the Criterion collection. You know, the best of the best gets added to the Criterion. As our former producer has his own show about the Criterion, the Cinenauts. But it was rad. They had every in-print movie on the shelf. The first thing I asked, of course, was, is RoboCop here? Do you have RoboCop?
Show me out-of-print RoboCop.
And Valeria, I believe her name was, who produces the video series, was like, no, we only have in-print editions. And I was like, all right, see you later. Bye.
Wow.
But it was pretty cool. Very
That's
lucky
awesome.
to have been invited to the Criterion offices. A lot of fun. Great office to work at. They had a nice little kitchen set up with plants everywhere. Jenna would have loved it, Proto.
Goodness.
They have like free
Shrubbery.
coffee there? Just grab a coffee?
Not at all jealous.
Listen, I'm just like everyone else. We all put our pants on one leg at a time in the morning, or joggers if you prefer.
I wear shorts.
I'm wearing joggers right now.
Sweats.
Proto, did you watch any movies this week?
I did. I watched last week, if anyone listened to the app, I watched The Addiction, which is a vampire movie. And I kind of decided that this October, I just wanted to watch a bunch of vampire movies. And I had a few on my watch list. So I just started tearing through them. I watched 3 vampire movies this week.
Holy cow.
French.
I watched, let's see. First one I watched was Thirst, which is Park Chan-wook's movie from 2009. The director of Old Boy and The Handmaiden. I don't think I've seen any of his movies. So I think this is my first Chan-wook movie. And it was something else. I'll tell you that much. I gave it 3 stars, but it has... Let's see, who is this guy? It's the guy who the father from Parasite, Song Kang-ho.
Okay.
And he is just incredible in it. He's the lead. He plays a priest who I don't really want to give it away. It's kind of it's a little different than just like a typical vampire story. But very cool. I enjoyed that. And then I watched 2 other vampire movies. I watched The Hunger, which was Tony Scott's first directorial feature.
Really?
What?
Yeah. It's his first movie. And this movie is friggin' gorgeous. It's on HBO Max. I gave it 4 stars. It's just dripping with style. It stars Catherine... how do you pronounce her last name? Deneuve.
Close. It was close.
Maybe I'm close. It stars her, David Bowie, and Susan Sarandon.
Excuse me.
Yes, Susie Sarandon's in this, and it's fantastic. A fantastic movie. Maybe more of what people say is, it's a vibe.
Yeah.
But it has. The main thread of it is that the one vampire is been alive for probably over 500 years, and then David Bowie's character is he is like her mate, but he after a few hundred years he starts to age suddenly, and he's seeking a way to stop that process from happening. So it's
Bowie.
It's a little different, and I love it. Of course there's Dracula. Everyone loves Dracula, but any Dracula movie, it's kind of like you're so familiar with the story, that you want something different. And all of these movies that I watch, it's like a different take on the vampire story. And the last one that I watched the other day, which is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a more recent vampire movie from 2014. And I think last week, Danny, you said I should watch this.
Yeah.
And I had it on my watch list for a while. And, but when you said that and just like the way you talked about it, I was like, man, I really have to, fire it up. So I put it on, and yeah, it's another gorgeous movie. Like the cinematography in this is incredible. It's black and white, but man, every shot is just amazing.
Crazy.
Most of it's a lot of it's shot at night, of course. But just the black and white at night, there's I don't know, there's like some effects that are done on like the lights. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's like everything like looks kind of blurry with a lot of the lighting. I don't know if it's like overexposed or what that would be called, but it was gorgeous, and it was everything that I could have wanted from a vampire movie. The one thread through all these movies that I realized is that a lot of people with these movies, they call them like a vibe. Like the story is almost like loosey-goosey.
Secondary, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they kind of write these movies, but they're not really sure how to end them necessarily or what to even do with them entirely. But it kind of works, I guess, with these movies, at least the ones that I've watched. So I think that was like the main thread I came away with all of those. But I'm having a great time. This is shaping up to be a fantastic October for me.
What do you have next? What's your plans?
Listen, I just want to say Proto is picking later in the show, and he's done 3 vampire movies this week.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Every single one of these that I watched, I thought, should I not log this and just pick this movie?
We're actually talking to the director of A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night on the Letterboxd show soon, Anna Lily Amirpour.
Oh, I saw you logged her most recent movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you'd like to say?
I really liked A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Also, I love that scene where you first see her kind of just like listening to music, dancing, just vibing. Oh my God.
Yeah. Her like cape that like goes over her shroud or what, like that, man, what a so effective, like so simple, but I think it's like iconic.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. It really, the poster, I think Danny even said it somewhere. I mean, all-time poster.
Literally the reason I watched it was because of seeing that poster. I'm like, I got to watch this movie now.
Budge.
Great poster.
How about when she spits that finger out?
When her fangs come out for the first time?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Fang me.
Was that it? Was that all your watches?
I did sneak in a non horror movie into my watch.
No.
Moonfall.
Oh no. I forgot about this.
Is now streaming on HBO Max. And when I've been waiting for this to come out. This directed by my boy, Roland Emmerich, human planet Earth catastrophe auteur, some would call him. And Trainer Chet says a different kind of horror. I think you guys should watch this movie. This movie is a ton of fun. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was loads of fun. Like I think James would love this movie.
He's wanted to watch it. I brought it up to him recently, but he couldn't find the time.
This suffers from like a lot of these popcorn blockbuster movies where it's just too long. There's like padding in it. I think it's over 2 hours long. It could have easily been 90 minutes. And, a lot of it's like not that worthwhile, but what they do at the end, like the last act of this movie is so cool. I was like blown away by the direction it went in. And like a lot of people have said that in their reviews, and I don't want to like give too much away, but I think it's
The Moon Falls.
You don't
want to spoil Moonfall.
It does something else as well. And it's just really cool. There's I think like the design that they have, like with the art that they came up with, this is just like really incredible and just really imaginative. So I think it's worth watching.
I just went through Roland Emmerich's filmography. Look at the poster of this Moon 44 movie from 1990. It's pretty cool.
I gotta click. Hold on. Oof.
Oh, wow.
The mineral resources of Earth are drained. In space, there are fights for the last deposits on other planets and satellites.
Is that me on the poster?
Malcolm McDowell, let's go.
It does look like you. What the hell?
What the?
My
this
God.
has been a bit the whole time.
Enhance.
Someone zoom in on that. That's Proto.
I'm going to puke.
Ew.
I remember seeing The Day After Tomorrow in theaters, and that was an event.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like Jake Gyllenhaal walk from like Pennsylvania to Washington in that movie or something like that? Or his dad, Dennis Quaid, to save him? Some nutty stuff.
That movie. I know I saw it.
Same.
Nutty stuff. I remembered what I was going to say earlier. It was going to be some kind of, it's not where I'll edit it out, but it was going to be an NFT joke for David Bowie.
Jesus.
The king of NFT, David Bowie.
Edit that, please.
Should we talk about... Well, first of all, our episode is about his house. It's HAUNTVEMBER. We're going to talk about my pick later in the show. It's on Netflix. Horror movie. And I was looking up V'ger, the supercomputer who loves movies.
Is V'ger still alive?
Yeah, does that still work?
Let me get to this in just one moment. I was looking up V'ger to see the average rating of our supporters. Proto built this thing that has everyone who supports us, all their letterboxes powered in there. I can see the average rating of a movie. The last time V'ger was updated, Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh my God. That's what killed it.
V'ger never recovered. V'ger went into a comatose state after that recording.
It's on low power mode right now.
V'ger will return. And dude, when the moment is right, V'ger will be updated and will rise again from the ashes of Jurassic World, that trilogy that killed it.
Another casualty from Jurassic World, V'ger.
Unreal.
Still a casualty. Well, anyway, the average rating of our supporters for his house is 3.88. I was curious to see what it was at. So almost at 4. What will we think? We'll see.
Whew.
You know? Next pilot episode. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but
keep talking.
We did a poll about what our next pilot episode should be.
I feel sick.
we put it to a vote. In the past, we said we'd never do another vote again. Yeah. Never in the history of this show will we ever do another vote. But we crunched the numbers. We found a new way to do a vote.
But we're liars.
Where people can't scam us and scam each other into shifting a vote. So if you're not aware, pilot season, we do the pilot episodes of shows for supporters as special bonus episodes. And we put it to a poll to see what people wanted us to cover. So we put out 5 options. Band of Brothers was one option.
Never seen it.
No, neither have I.
Wow.
Seinfeld, Smallville.
My God.
Sex and the City. Infamously covered for 6 months on the Cinenauts podcast.
The same pilot.
Nothing gets Proto as riled up as talking about Sex and the City and the Cinenauts podcast.
Talk about suicide. Talk about trying to kill yourself.
And finally, The Sopranos. So of those 5 options, everyone could vote. They could not change their vote, nor could they see the live results of the poll. And we were pretty pleased with that, to be honest.
It was great. It felt great.
Oh, real good.
So let's see. Proto, have you looked at the results? Do you want to guess to see what, how Seinfeld did in the poll? What percentage of the pie?
I haven't looked, I think, since the first day. I'm going to say Seinfeld is around maybe 20%. I don't think Seinfeld is going to win.
You think Seinfeld's going to win?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Definitely not.
Danny, any guesses?
Seinfeld's in the teens, maybe 17%.
Forrest in chat. The Secret Villager channel was almost entirely about the nature of the vote, not the actual shows. So maybe the worst vote we've ever had.
It's a lot of votes for it being the worst vote.
That's certainly one opinion, Forrest, but the responses say otherwise.
It's the opinion of someone who didn't vote.
Our country not voting is what got us 2006, Forrest. Okay? Or was it 2016? 2016, Forrest.
2006 and beyond, Forrest.
2016. Seinfeld got 21% of the vote.
Ooh, 21%.
The loser of the poll, Sex and the City with 10%.
The losers.
Sex and the City's finished in terms of this poll. Oh, I'm sorry. No, 7%. My God, even worse.
Wow.
My gosh.
Smallville had 14.5% of the vote. And the winner of the poll, with nearly 40%, is The Sopranos.
40%.
There it is.
Yeah. So The Sopranos is our next step.
Which I haven't seen.
I've never seen an episode of Sopranos.
I've only seen the pilot. So there's that.
I'm excited.
Are you?
Band of Brothers was 18.1%. It was in second place for a little bit. So supporters, Sopranos upcoming soon. Danny, what about you? What did you watch?
I watched one movie. Big one I checked off my list for Halloween. I watched John Carpenter's The Fog for the first time.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I was kind of hoping it'd be picked for the show at some point, but I I didn't wait anymore.
Hell yeah.
Incredible movie. I had a great time watching. I'm starting to find out like the 80s horror is my favorite time for horror movies. I'm having a great time. But the instant I saw this lady having her own radio station in the top of a lighthouse while also doing lighthouse duties, I was in love already. Like that was like, I want this as a dream job.
Yeah.
Find me a lighthouse in Florida and I'm going to do it.
Oh my God. Imagine being a disc jockey. Just
right?
Playing songs.
Oh my gosh.
Podcasting in the lighthouse.
Podcasting. Can we buy a lighthouse? How much are lighthouses, right?
They can't be that expensive.
What tier Patreon can get us a lighthouse? But I had a great time watching this. I loved the story. I had what a great cast. Jamie Lee and her mom Janet both in this film. Janet still looking insanely old. That's mean. Janet Lee looking old with Jamie in this, while she's also in like H2O with Jamie, but also old in that. I was so confused because I thought she'd seem a lot younger, but it was just baffling. I was like, oh, Janet's in this, but she also looked exactly the same that she did in H2O.
Ageless between 1980 and 2000. My only memory really, I remember liking The Fog, and last time I logged it was 2017, so I'm due for a rewatch for sure. Now that it's out in 4K, I think there's a 4K disc floating around. But Jamie Lee Curtis gets picked up to start the movie as a hitchhiker, right? And then she has Whoopi with the guy that picks her up
right away. But also she lies to him and said she's never been hitchhiking before. And she's like, are you a creep? But then she like lets it slip that she's been hitchhiking since like California or something.
Oh my God.
Anyway, she's great in this too.
I mean, hitchhiking is one of the most bonkers things to ever exist. In my opinion.
I don't have the guts for it.
Let's give out our free year of Letterboxd Pro.
Okay.
Folks that share the show on social media, I'm actually going to change it up a little bit. But if you share the show on social media in the past, you were automatically entered to win a free year of Letterboxd Pro. And Tom McKiernan shared the show this week, found my favorite new #movie podcast while on my Dune back catalog binge. Great to have differing opinions from the 70mm crew.
Interesting.
Makes for a much better podcast than the single host ones I usually listen to. And the artwork drool emoji.
Oof.
So welcome aboard, Tom. Glad to have you. I remember when the Dune episode happened, it was like our most popular episode at that time, and we were chuckling at the idea of new listeners trying the podcast, and the new Dune movie episode was their first listen.
Listen, we liked that movie.
Forged in fire. Your friendship. So I was going to change it. I know that some folks tag their reviews 70mm pod when they watch movies alongside of us. So for anyone that does that and is listening, you try to watch along with us, tag your reviews 70mm pod, and then those folks will get entered to win a free year of Letterboxd Pro. Gets rid of ads. You can see where movies are streaming, and you get some year-end stats as well. So just remember to add that tag when you log the movie. HAUNTVEMBER, next week's Proto's pick. I'm shaking in my boots, but for now, his house. Proto, what's this movie about on Netflix?
Bal and Ral are Sudan refugees who escaped civil war and ultimately found asylum in London. They are given housing with very strict rules set in place for them. As they try to adapt to a new life in a strange place, they begin experiencing a dark presence within their house. Something has followed them from Sudan and won't stop until a secret debt is paid. His house.
Our boy is in this.
Matt Smith.
Oh my God.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who himself.
Remember when he was rumored to be in The Rise of
Everything?
Skywalker? He was going to be like the Knights of
Palpatine's
Ren
clone.
or some BS. Red herring. Got all of us.
The
Got
lips
us all.
on that guy.
Incredible lips.
Mm-hmm.
Proto, what do you remember about this movie? Is there any? I know you talked about it last week. Did you have any inkling about what this movie was about? You had some vibes in the past, right?
Yeah, I just remember when the trailer dropped. I think this was like a classic Netflix movie, comes out of nowhere. You don't hear of anything leading up to it, and then like, oh, here's a trailer, and it comes out tomorrow, kind of deal. But yeah, I just remember. I don't remember when it came out, but I remember seeing it, and I'm not one to jump on horror movies. That's more of your job. So I think I was the messenger, and I was thinking about watching it, but I never pulled the trigger on this. That's as far as I got.
Yeah, this was 2 years ago, so I don't think, Danny, at that point you were even really watching that much horror.
No, definitely not. So you were like the godfather of horror for us.
Yeah, I watched it and I left a review, so I did hide my rating, but I remember, obviously spoilers, I liked it, but I remember being really shocked that this was the feature debut of the director.
Yeah.
Remy Weeks. That was kind of like my main thought.
And this was what, Sundance? It was like Sundance Festival, and then before the festival started, Netflix bought the movie.
Oh, really?
Before it even premiered.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Which was wild.
Yeah, I was like thinking about Netflix and how like movies get lost on there. They just put out so much now.
Yeah.
There's just so much on Netflix. I joked in the past about how I just like scroll Netflix for 5 minutes and then find something else to watch in a different app, like some kind of filth on Discovery Plus, Ghost Adventures, then watch anything. And I feel bad for some of these movies that just like get released. Like, yeah, you're on Netflix, but they only have so much marketing budget. You could just get dumped on there, and then who knows what happens? Nothing, really.
I wonder though if like the average user, that's just what they do. It's like you get home from work, you just turn on Netflix and you find something to watch. Whereas I feel like us who we're looking for movies and kind of curating a list to watch.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't browse any streaming service. I think that's like psychotic at this point. I never do that. So that's not me, but I'm sure a lot of people, that's how they find movies.
Yeah. So you're saying they should be institutionalized? Anyone who does that?
Yeah, most of the population should be.
There's like a thread between that statement and the mass brainwashing of Kyle MacLachlan, I think, that you were talking about in the past.
Hey, me and Kyle, we've worked things out.
That's true. You have worked things out slowly. I remember in the Dune Pod Discord, I think Jason shared a screenshot of your comments on Kyle MacLachlan on one of their channels, and there was somebody that commented like, "Who gives these people microphones?" Let's see. So I'll go first.
Please.
It's it's kind of like a haunted house-ish movie, but this is like a flip script a little bit. One of the three things that I love about this movie is that he's haunted. Like they are haunted by something. It's for the most part, it's like something is up with this house. They lost their daughter in the journey over from war-torn Sudan, I think it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like it's getting even worse for them now. They lost their kid and now they're in a haunted house. Like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it's them, it's him that's really haunted by it. And the story unravels. So this is the second time I've seen this. So watching it, I was able to kind of like see their, like look at it a different way, because as you find out later in the movie, spoilers obviously, it wasn't really their daughter that they lost. That was a girl they almost like took in the heat of war to try to get the hell out. And they thought she was alone, wasn't the case. So it kind of like gives a double meaning to everything at that point. But I love that. I love that it wasn't just haunted house. It was something more than that.
I like that you put it that way. I didn't think of it as him being haunted. It just kind of sat with the fact that it was a haunted house. but saying that he's haunted makes all the more sense. It's a different perspective to look at it too. And it was a great little bamboozle too in the beginning, especially when they first get to that kind of suburb projects type area in London. Because I was just waiting for it just to be a race issue. Like the whites were going to be the piece of shits that they are. But it was interesting how it kind of slowly, the slow burn of this and the slow reveal of why they're haunted, I thought was a little bit brilliant.
Yeah, I guess that makes so much sense, but I didn't really think of that either, is that, he's haunted rather than the house itself. And I love the little like explanation of it, where Rahl says at one point, like the apeth is here, or a night witch, which I wish we got more of. I've never heard of that before, but anytime I hear like a new word like that, I like sit up in my chair and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And I just wish they got into more of that, like an explanation as to like what that means, or like the history behind that, if there is any. Because like just even that word and like night witch was triggering me. I was like all in.
Danny, what's your number one?
Well, my number one kind of goes in the same vein as that. I was incredibly surprised, impressed, I guess, with Remy's ability to fuse this ghost story, haunted house story, with an actual like moving and impactful story of their kind of refugee, the refugee story as well, because it's like, it really reminded me of how I felt watching City of God, and watching a story that I don't really know like much about that kind of situation. And then it's like watching in the South Sudan with the wars between the tribes and people just trying to flee this. To throw that into a horror story that dealt with the guilt and the grief of what they're dealing with, I thought was just insane. Like, I'm really enjoying this new, like, as much as I like the 80s kind of horror movies, the current kind of status of telling horror movies through the perspective of trauma, or something that is way more personal that we can connect with, I think is some exciting stuff. Like this and Get Out really came to mind thinking of Get Out with this. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's less that you're going to a haunted place or someone is like hunting you, and it's more of like there's something wrong with you. Like you are the thing that is causing some horror to happen, which is cool.
Yeah, it reminded, in my initial review, I kind of like compared it to Hereditary, because I think Hereditary was one of those like prestige horror where it makes you like, whoa, there's like a different level of horror movies that are attainable. And that one, like these feel like they're in the same area. They're almost like, I don't want to say like smart horror, because it's kind of like, I'm not meaning that as like an insult to other 80s horror, but you're not really going to see this type of horror in the 80s. Yeah. Like it wasn't popular probably, or nobody wanted to see it.
Yeah. And it kind of bums me out a bit that this is on Netflix, because if you put it on a A24 ticket, then this is going to be like talked about like we talk about Hereditary, and it's not going to fall in the wayside of a million Netflix movies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, this would have been so cool to have like, you know, one of those studios attached to it, do like some pretty cool campaign, cool release, get some people behind it.
Yeah. Because Netflix picking this up right away means we're not getting theatrical, right? This wasn't a theatrical run at all, which is a bit of a bummer.
Proto, what's your number one?
My number one is really the performance from the two leads. The movie is pretty much, outside of Matt Smith, it's just them two playing these lead characters. And there's a lot of tension between them in terms of like just the different themes that's being displayed. And the one that I really liked was his desire to assimilate to like this new life
Yeah.
while she was kind of like clinging to her old life and her culture and like her people. And that tension between them, I just thought like their performances were so good in this. And it felt so authentic. They were so expressive, just like, especially like with the horror stuff, that I thought that was just really, really great.
Mm-hmm. Their first scene together, I caught this time when he's waking up from the nap and she's sitting with him and he's just like using his hand to kind of like rub her shirt fabric.
Mm.
I just thought that was so adorable. Just like the two of them together, just like this minutia moment that like maybe a married couple would do together. You know, there's no reason otherwise to have that on screen. Maybe most directors wouldn't even think to show that. But it just gives this kind of like slight connection between the two that, you know, you're right. It covers over through the rest of the movie. I mean, them eating dinner together.
Yeah, there was I also like the part where I think when he first sees their daughter, he kind of like freaks out a little bit. And it's like, whoa, like he's surprised. But then there's a great moment where Rawl, I think she like looks through the front door, looks out the window, and she sees her daughter. And all she does is like sighs, almost as if she was like expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that just like that little bit there, it gave like so much in terms of how differently they both felt about their circumstance and maybe what happened in the past. So there was like a lot of storytelling in those little moments.
One other note that I had was there was a few times like Matt Smith, you're right. You would expect Matt Smith to be douchey or any other of the white characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember when there was that one guy on the street, like had the like thick accent. He's like, "Oi, you one of those refugees? I got something for you." And it was like actually a good thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't him getting knifed in the alley or something.
I really kept waiting for the shoe to drop. Before the twist, it's like, which one of these white neighbors are like, it just felt like, what is going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then the few people that actually were rude to them were the black kids of London, which I thought was a fascinating take.
Yeah.
They were really rude to her when she's looking for directions for the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is because they told her to go back where she came from. And I'm like, man, fascinating.
Yeah,
Remy.
many layers to this. Also, like Matt Smith, even when he comes to tell them, like, I want a different house. And they're all like, your house is bigger than my house.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be big trouble for you
Yeah.
if you want to leave that house. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And they were like, at every turn, or at least Matt Smith, he's trying to help, which I thought was fascinating. So my number 2 is like what I said earlier. Like, this is a feature debut for Remy Weeks. I think, yeah, Remy Weeks. I couldn't believe that this is someone's feature debut.
Right.
So many cool moments, like when he's having visions of the creature in the darkness and they're having these conversations with the fire lit. So cool. He's eating dinner and the camera pulls back and he's like in the water again from their journey where they lost their quote unquote daughter. The conversation at the end of the movie, which is one of my favorite movie moments, probably the last few years, where he gives that speech. Matt Smith asks like, how you doing? Are you still seeing that demon? And he explains why he's not.
Your ghosts follow you. They never leave. They live with you. It's when I let them in, I could start to face myself.
But then you see the refugees like in the room with them in various shots, like they're staying with him, like all the trauma is still with him, but he's like maintaining it and keeping it bay. I couldn't believe that like that depth was in this movie. And I still can't believe it, really.
Yeah, that was one of my notes, was the ending of this. I was waiting for like something else. I don't know what I was waiting for. This doesn't follow like a typical horror movie, but the fact that when it pulls out of the rooms and it shows their daughter and then it flips around and shows them standing there with the refugees. But we saw the refugees so many times throughout the the episode as like the zombie kind of ghoulish type figures. But now that they've defeated the witch, they're still there, and it's suggesting that their torment is still going to be with them through their grief and shame, but they still have to work through it. And that's how they end the movie, which was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like a directorial debut, there's a lot of like effects in this, and I appreciated how they just, really went for it. I would say like the CG stuff, like some of it's like B tier, but it's told so like it's used like so with such confidence, and it's like consistent throughout the movie that it didn't really bother me. Like there's some shots it's like, all right, this like it doesn't look great, but it didn't really like bother me either. I don't know if I'm just getting like numb to this kind of world of CGI that we have, and I just kind of expect it now in movies. This kind of reminded me of that movie Salam that I watched a couple weeks ago, where it kind of did the same thing. Like it kind of just went for it with like this B-level CGI, but I liked it. And I thought it was like consistent, and it's like a lot of bold choices in this. And I think like some of the shots are so creative. Like, yeah, like that shot of him sitting at the table as the camera pulls out, he's like in the ocean. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Danny, number 2.
This kind of goes hand in hand with the shots, but I was quite taken with how well the horror scenes were made. The light switch going on and off, revealing the things in the shadows, the stuff behind the walls, him pulling out the rope that's turning into seaweed that ends up being the doll. There's so much of the horror that's in this. I keep saying horror, but it's really, I don't know. It had its moments where it was kind of scary, but also it looked great. And the monster's been brought up a couple times, the witch, and I had to look it up. It's actually an actor. It's a guy named Javier Botet, and he's a 6'6" actor. He was in a suit, like laying on top of Chope in the scene.
That suit is disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's this really tall actor playing the monster. And I don't know. I really loved how well the horror was handled in this, because it could have gotten way out of hand, I think. But I felt like it was really kept tight, especially when you're only following the 2 leads this whole time, to keep adding in the refugees, the daughter running around in that creepy ass mask. It's just really well done, the horror aspects of this.
I mean, how about when he like pushes his freak hand into his arm?
I covered my eyes.
Yeah, it was
I
nasty.
physically covered my eyes.
Oh my God.
I could not get enough of it.
Yeah, I did see some reviews that were like not so high on the creature reveal at the end. I loved it.
I think I
felt like it was like a slow burn to the point where you're leading up. I mean, it is pretty slow, the first like half, 2/3.
It's definitely a slow burn.
Yeah, it's extremely slow.
The guy that played the monster is going to be the Slender Man in the Slender Man movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bro, what'd you think of the creature?
I thought it was cool. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, but yeah, I thought it was good, and I like the slow burn too. I think that like that approach with horror movies, it just fits so well. Like you got to give it a slow burn, I think.
A slow burn.
A slow burn in an hour and a half movie. I mean, it was slow, but it moved at a quick pace.
Yeah. Proto, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is, I think, my favorite scene in the movie. I think it's when Ball goes into like a catatonic state.
Oh God.
And then his wife can escape from the house. I think she like goes out a back window.
Oh yeah.
And then like suddenly she's back in Sudan, and she's greeted by her friends. And they take her into a room, and she's talking to them, and she realizes like, I'm not really here. And then it cuts to her, Ball like looking for her, coming into the room, and like she comes out of a cabinet, and everyone in there is dead. Like they were killed. So she like hid in this cabinet and survived a massacre in this room. And like that the storytelling in that scene was just like was so good. Like that, like the formation of that, and just like the way it was revealed, and then them trying to escape and like hiding on the roof while the guys with the guns walk by. I just thought that scene was like really powerful. And in thinking of going through something traumatic and then having to, relive it over and over again, like that scene really communicated that so well.
Mm. Also, her performance too, while talking with the demon ghost versions of her friends, like asking about her daughter and her crying during that entire scene, and them like offering a deal, like you cut open your husband, we'll bring your daughter back. My third one is right after that, when they finally show the backstory of the daughter. They get up to the bus. There's not enough room. They're panicking. There's gunshots coming like right behind them. And he sees a young girl, and that could be their ticket on to the bus. And it happens. Mm-hmm. And then seconds later, you see the mom realize what happened. Mm-mm. Like, this is one of the most chilling scenes that I can remember. It's so real. It's so visceral that, like, this is real life. Like, we're seeing, like, what's going on in this area and many areas. And I like, it still stopped me in my tracks on this viewing. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine being that mother. No. Imagine being them. Yeah. And having to, like, deal with that trauma of what you just did. It's insane. It's crazy.
It's definitely insane. And it goes to show, like, the brilliance of this movie, where we've already sat with the horrors of this house that they're dealing with. And to be presented the reason why the witches haunted them, to watch the horror of this scene makes everything, I don't know. This scene gave me the chills when you realize not just that this is what his theft was, him stealing this girl. That's why the witch is attached to them. Like, this was his theft from the Sudan, but to watch the mother lose her child as well. Like, this was a horrific scene. And I think the mom is sitting in that room with her when she transports back to the whatever classroom that was. I think you can tell by the forehead, her forehead scars. Oh, she's one of the women sitting with her. Anyway, incredible scene, incredible moment in this film to have the whole story come full circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also because, by no fault of their own, if they could talk to that mother and things went differently, like if their daughter survived and made it to England with them, I'm sure their mother would be like, wow, like, it sucks that you took my daughter, but thank you for saving her life. But the fact that she dies on the way there, it's like, man, like, maybe she would have lived if she stayed. So like you think, and I'm sure, like, you can imagine that them playing that story in their head, like, well, like trying to justify it, like, well, she was going to die anyway. Like, oh yeah, it sucks that she died, but we gave her best chance anyway, and it saved my life. So I have like the guilt of that, but I was doing the best thing I could. And just like that tug and like that mental gymnastics you would be playing with yourself for the rest of your life, trying to justify what you did.
I kept thinking about every time they said we are good people as well. Like that.
We're one of the good ones.
We're one of the good. Yeah. That all started to make sense.
We're not like them, but we can be. Oh my God. Danny, number 3.
Gosh, we've gone through so much of it. I have a little bit of a gripe for my third. I wanted more of the Night Witch, or whatever they called him. There was so much about that story when she first tells the folklore, when they're sitting there, and you finally see him at the campfire when he has the candle lit in the room trying to call out the witch, and you see the eyes glowing in the back. There's just something I wanted more from that aspect, and I don't know what it could have been, but seeing the Night Witch more I kind of wanted that, and it kind of bummed me out that we only got the final reveal of him coming through the ground and attacking Bull.
I wanted more of that as well, just fleshed out a little bit more.
2-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie at that point.
It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. Make it if it makes it a better movie. I mean, that kind of bleeds into my final point.
Bleed.
And I think it's more of like a thing like I'm realizing with movies like this, movies that are like centered around like grief or trauma or a thing that happened in the past, is that I feel like I have a disconnect with these type of movies because the thing that's happening in the background, like that thing like the character is dealing with is the main part of the movie. And it's like where the meat of the movie is. And the thing in the foreground, like the actual story in front of what's going on is kind of like a lesser part. And I feel like that like the background stuff overtakes the story of the thing like that I'm watching happen. And these movies, it feels like it relies on you connecting with what the character is feeling and going through. And I mean, I'm fortunate enough that like I don't have like any experience in my life like that is like very traumatic or something that like haunts me. So I can't like relate to that.
Right.
So often when I watch these kind of movies, like I feel like there's like a disconnect or like something I'm not getting. And I know like these seem like the movies that like Slim, like you love.
Right.
And we've like talked about this a lot. Like I think of that Joaquin Phoenix movie. You were never really here.
God.
And like I don't get that movie at all. Like it does nothing for me. And you love that. And I feel like this movie falls in like that same category of where I just like have this disconnect with what's going on. And like it kind of like loses me for that reason.
It's funny you say that because in a rare turn of events, I sent Amanda the After Yang episode to listen to, and she listened to it, and she said the same thing about you, Proto. She had the same realization. She's like, maybe Proto has never gone through something like that, where like that was her reasoning for your final thoughts, and I think you're both right. I mean, that's
what
fine.
Patreon tier can we do to give Proto a traumatic experience?
Who wants to traumatize Proto for a small fee?
Trainer says he'll do it.
Well, he's been doing it since he joined the
That's a
Discord.
shocker.
He's been trying.
I was trying to think. It's probably true. Maybe the Babadook episode was probably, looking back, maybe similar. And I'm wondering,
Yeah, of course.
what's your rating for Hereditary? What did you think of Hereditary? Because you've seen that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I try to forget that movie.
Trying to block out 3-star experiences.
I think that was before I have that watched. I don't think I like left a review for that.
Oh.
That might have been before I was like writing reviews. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think that those kind of like subtext movies could be a slight disconnect for people. My honorable mentions, I guess when the monster is like about to kill him, he's got his greedy little hands up his arm skin.
Stop.
And she makes the decision to step in and help. I love that scene.
Yeah,
you see her
yeah.
hand go for the knife behind it. Holy smokes, that was rad.
You said arm skin. I hate you. It's disgusting.
Was I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
So final rating for me, I had this logged as 5 stars. I loved it. I had a great time rewatching it. I forgot to Google to see what Remy Weeks is doing next because Remy, I'm yours.
What is he doing?
Baby.
He's got to be doing something, right?
I'm keeping it at 5 stars for his house.
There it is.
Loved it. Great experience watching. Danny, honorable mentions, final rating?
Honorable mention, let me see. I mean, Chopin and Woonmi are incredible actors, and I'm excited for more that they do. I'm with you. This is a great movie. I thought the story itself was brilliant. I wanted just a little bit more from the witch. So I'm sitting at 4 stars for this.
4 stars for his house. And now the 3-star reveal from Proto.
Honorable mentions. I think you had this in your first review, Slim. Ball's like final words at the end. He says something like, "Ghosts don't live; they live with you." When you see all the people in the room with him, I love that line and just like that idea was really cool. But yeah, I'm at 3 stars. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I probably put that quote in earlier, just dropped it in. Great line. Love it. His house. We're flying through HAUNTVEMBER.
It's going too fast.
If I can be frank with you both.
Slow it down.
It's flying through. We're so close to Halloween ends, it's not even funny.
I keep forgetting we're doing that.
Yeah, same. I don't know if I'm mentally ready for that.
I know, seriously.
The artwork has been dropped. Cripes alive.
This
the
mask
artwork for this episode. It's disturbing. Imagine if he used the arm sleeve.
No, still. Arm sleeve.
We do have a letter. You can shoot us one at 70mmpod@gmail.com. This comes from Brian. Prison month when? ? Lol. Hey 70M, it's Brian. Sorry to be so heavy, but I have been struggling lately with my visual impairment brain tumor. But listening to the pod weekly brings me great happiness and laughter. I just felt like sharing how awesome you all are for being great hosts. I give you 5 stars whenever I can. Thanks for reading. Just one of your many supporters, Brian. Horror movie recommendation, The Ritual on Netflix.
The Ritual.
The Ritual. Let me check this out here.
I've seen this going around.
Hold,
Have
please.
Pause for editing.
Pause for searching.
2017, your darkest dream awaits you. A group of college friends reunite for a trip to the forest, but encounter a menacing presence in the woods that's stalking them.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I reunite with people in the woods too much, I think, to watch this.
Thank you very much for the letter, Brian, and thanks for reminding me, Danny. Glad we can help any way we can. And you know what's going to help even more? Proto's pick for HAUNTVEMBER.
You know it. You know it.
Where could it go wrong? Where possibly could we go wrong? There's been a lot of talk about this. We were talking about this on our vacation. You gave options to us. Where do we stand after that period of time?
Yeah, well, I put it out there. I actually made a list of my potential picks, and I am picking one of those movies from this list.
Oh gosh.
I decided, I wanted to maybe some would say play it safe. I wanted to return to the master of horror.
Which one?
You know his name. Go ahead, say.
There's so many.
Come on, we all know it. Clive Barker. 1987, the year of my birth. He came out with a movie, iconic monster, Hellraiser.
Cannot believe it.
Oh my God.
I've never seen it. So
I've never seen either. It scared me so much as a kid in the VHS store, Blockbuster, seeing this pinhead.
God.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. I wanted I held the VHS tape just to rub my finger over the image to see if I could feel the pins. It just freaked me out so much as a kid.
I think I walked in on this movie. I don't know who was watching it, but it looked like I was watching horror porn. I didn't know what horror porn was at that time, but I was wondering what I was watching. It felt horrifying and sexy at the same time.
My gosh.
I just remember watching on a VHS tapes where they would have promos from whatever studio. I don't know who put out Hellraiser, but clips of Hellraiser showing the Pinhead would always appear, and it would freak me out.
Freaky.
And that's my main memory of this.
This is streaming on many places. Streaming on Prime, streaming on Shudder, Pluto, Tubi, and our library friends Hoopla.
Oh my gosh.
My library wouldn't let me rent Creepshow. It said it was they wouldn't let me rent that rated movie. It was too scary or something.
But they have it offered.
Yeah. My library wouldn't let me do it.
One look at you, they wouldn't let you rent it.
Crash says don't watch it on Shudder. It looks horrible.
Oh.
All right. Maybe try Amazon Prime or Pluto or Tubi. New Hellraiser comes to Hulu this Friday, too. That's right. So by the time this episode is out, there's a new Hellraiser on Hulu. So anyway, the description for Hellraiser: an unfaithful wife encounters the zombie of her dead lover while the demonic Cenobites are pursuing him after he escaped their sadomasochistic underworld.
What?
Do you believe?
Is this the greatest month in the history of this podcast? I ask.
We're going to have to put like the podcast art behind that like black plexiglass.
Paper bag. Yeah, brown paper bag.
I got to bag my art.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. You'd have to like swipe over to remove the bag on Instagram.
Are you 18 or older? Disclaimer.
What is Proto unleashing into the village this week? All right. What an ep. Hellraiser next week. I think, if I remember correctly, there's like 9 Hellraiser movies. Remember when Chuck from Bat and Spider went through and he almost like jumped off a bridge?
Yeah.
I felt
trying
bad
to
for
watch
him.
them all.
I really felt bad for him.
Doing the Lord's work.
My God, look at all these. Yeah, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 Hellraiser. Oh my God, there's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 Hellraiser movies.
My God.
Oh, Clive, please.
Milk it.
The master of horror does it again.
Milking it.
Proto, closing thoughts for this week as we continue our horrific journey through HAUNTVEMBER.
Oh, man, it feels good to be back in October. And we're having a heck of a time. And, I mean, the best might be yet to come. Halloween ends. This could make or break everything. I mean, we all listened to our double feature ep.
Sigh from Proto to end it. We'll see everybody next week for Hellraiser. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large, Dale_A. Transcripts provided by Sophie Shin and music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to Pro or Patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.